I was standing at a train station in Amsterdam when an American tourist ran up, waving his passport. Why didn't the train wait for me? I'm American. I blinked. He genuinely expected the train to pause because of his nationality. That's when I realized, some travelers come to Europe expecting it to bend to them. And things get interesting. I was working the front desk at a hotel in Amsterdam when an American family walked in, looking utterly drained. The dad slammed his credit card on the counter. We need a room, he said, and make sure it has air conditioning. It's like a sauna out there. I glanced at the thermometer, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I smiled and started checking them in. As I typed, the mom leaned over and whispered, "Is it safe to drink the tap water here?" I paused. "Yes, ma'am. Amsterdam has some of the cleanest tap water in the world." She looked doubtful. "We're not in America. How can it be clean?" I didn't have an answer. I just nodded and handed them their keys. If you're noticing a pattern, the quiet comedy of cultural confidence masquerading as common sense, this is exactly the kind of story I share weekly. I track these habits full-time so you don't have to. If that depth clicks with you, this is your kind of content. That same week, I was chatting with a coworker during break. She mentioned an American guest asking where the nearest Walmart was. When she told him there wasn't one, he looked genuinely puzzled. "But where do you buy stuff?" he asked. She pointed down the street to the Albert Heijn. He stared at it, like it was an exhibit in a museum. "That tiny place. How do you survive?" She tried explaining that Europeans shop often, buying fresh items every few days rather than stockpiling. He shook his head. "That sounds exhausting." Another guest asked if we accepted real money at the hotel. "What do you mean?" I asked. He pulled out a crumpled dollar bill. "This? You take dollars?" I explained we used euros. He frowned. "Why doesn't Europe just use dollars? That would make everything easier." I suggested he try a currency exchange. He sighed like I'd asked him to climb Everest. "This is so inconvenient. Back home, everyone uses dollars." I wanted to say back home is America, not the entire planet, but I just smiled and pointed him toward the nearest exchange booth. Later, a woman came to the desk, clearly frustrated. "Why is everything closed?" she asked. I checked the time. 7 p.m. Sunday. Most shops close early on Sundays here. She looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. "But I need to buy things. Don't you have 24-hour stores?" I told her about the night shops. She shook her head. "In America, everything is open all the time. How do you people live like this?" I had no good answer. I just suggested she plan her shopping better next time. She walked away, muttering about Europe being backwards. That night, it hit me. Many Americans travel to Europe expecting it to be like America, just with older buildings. When reality is different, they don't adapt. They get frustrated that Europe isn't bending over backwards to feel like home. I was working at a train station in Brussels when an American tourist approached the ticket counter, visibly upset. He'd just missed his train to Paris. "Why didn't it wait for me?" he demanded. I explained that European trains run on strict schedules. "But I was only 5 minutes late," he protested. I nodded sympathetically, but the train had gone. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Don't you know who I am? I'm an American. Trains should wait for Americans." I blinked. Not joking, he genuinely believed his nationality gave him special privileges. I calmly explained that train schedules apply to everyone, passport or not. This is exactly the subtle psychology I track, when entitlement meets reality and culture holds up a mirror. Most people miss it. Subscribers don't. He asked for my manager. My manager repeated the same thing. He left angry, convinced we were being difficult on purpose. My cousin works at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Copenhagen. She told me about an American couple who walked in without a reservation and demanded a table. "We're from America," the man said, brandishing his passport, as if that mattered. The host politely explained they were fully booked for months. The woman chimed in. "Do you know how much we spend when we travel?" Still, no table. The couple left and posted a 1-star review online, claiming the restaurant was anti-American. My cousin said this happens far more often than people realize. Some truly believe their presence should be celebrated, not simply accommodated. A friend who's a tour guide in Rome shared a story. A group of American tourists kept interrupting his explanations of Roman history. Every time he mentioned an event or date, someone interjected, "But America won World War II, so we basically saved you guys." He tried redirecting the conversation to ancient Rome, but they persisted. One finally asked, "If it wasn't for America, would you even have freedom?" He calmly explained that Italy's been a republic since 1946, and Roman civilization existed over 2,000 years before America. The tourist shrugged. "Yeah, but we're the reason you're free now." A barista in Vienna shared a similar story. An American ordered a cappuccino and asked for a large cup, extra foam, and caramel drizzle. In Vienna, cappuccinos are traditionally served in porcelain cups meant to be savored at the table. "Can't you just make it how I want it? Isn't the customer always right?" the guest asked. The barista explained Viennese coffee culture has centuries of tradition. The customer cut him off. "In America, we do it better. You should try it." The barista made the coffee exactly as requested but left baffled. Why visit Vienna if all you want is America? Traveling through Germany, I overheard a complaint at a breakfast buffet. An American guest groaned about the bread. "Why is everything so hard and crusty? Don't they have normal bread?" His wife agreed. "And where's the peanut butter?" A German guest politely mentioned they were eating traditional German bread, famous worldwide. The American scoffed. "Yeah, but have you tried Wonder Bread? That's real bread." He left, disappointed. Another example of Americans expecting everything abroad to match home standards. My sister works at a museum in Amsterdam. An American visitor complained that exhibit descriptions were in Dutch and English. "Why isn't it all in English?" he asked. She explained Dutch is the primary language. "But English is global. Everyone should just use English," he said. Even with English translations provided, he wasn't satisfied. "I shouldn't have to see Dutch everywhere. It's confusing." His first trip outside America, genuinely upset that other countries had their own languages. In Barcelona, an American asked why all signs were in Spanish and Catalan. I explained the regional context. "This is so complicated. Why can't Europe just pick one language?" He compared it to America. "We all speak English. Simpler." Some people don't travel to learn, they travel expecting the world to adjust to them. In Stockholm, an American asked where the frozen foods were. I explained the section is small, because locals shop fresh often. "But how do you meal prep for the month?" he laughed. "That's inefficient. Don't you have jobs?" He left muttering about inconvenience. My roommate in Berlin shared a story. An American asked for a year's supply of medication. German law allows only monthly prescriptions. "But I do this all the time in America. Just give me 12 months, she explained patiently. He searched for American pharmacies in Berlin, shocked he couldn't find any. How do you survive without CVS or Walgreens? He left complaining about backwards European healthcare. A friend managing a Paris boutique shared, an American tried on 6 items, then asked if she could return them within 90 days even after wearing them. 14 days, unworn, with tags. My friend said. Customer offended. "In America I can return anything, anytime, for any reason. No purchase, a bad review, same story. American tourists expect home policies abroad and get upset when reality differs." In Lisbon, an American wanted an automatic car. Only manuals available. "But automatics are better. Why don't you have them?" I explained manuals are standard in Europe. He got frustrated, scoffed at public transportation, didn't rent, and complained to corporate. A cafe in Prague shared a story. An American asked for a coffee refill. Free refills don't exist there. Everywhere gives free refills, he insisted. He paid for a second cup, but muttered about how cheap it was not to offer endless coffee. At a hostel in Dublin, an American asked about laundry. Coin-operated machines. "You don't do laundry for guests?" confused and annoyed. "But I'm paying to stay here. Shouldn't you provide services?" I explained that the hostel was budget-friendly. He rolled his eyes. "In America, even cheap hotels do your laundry." I didn't argue. I just showed him where the machines were. Later, I found out he hadn't used them at all. He didn't want to figure out the European machines. Instead, he bought new clothes. My brother works at a bookstore in Edinburgh. One American tourist came in looking for books, then asked why prices weren't in dollars. My brother explained them use pounds in Scotland. The customer sighed. "Can't you just tell me what everything costs in real money?" My brother calmly converted a few prices. Then the customer asked if they accepted Venmo or Cash App. "No, just card and cash," my brother said. The customer looked frustrated. "You really need to modernize." My brother didn't mention that contactless payments have been standard in the UK for years, long before most Americans used them. The tourist left without buying anything. Conversion rates didn't make sense. I worked at a gym in Oslo, offering day passes for travelers. An American came in asking about membership options. When I quoted the price, he laughed. "Way too expensive." "Got a discount for Americans?" I said no. He tried negotiating, comparing prices to American gyms. I explained Norway's cost of living affects pricing. He wasn't happy. "I'm only here a week. Can't you give me a deal?" I offered the day pass. He declined. "Not worth it." "Why is Europe so expensive?" I didn't have a good answer. Different countries have different living costs. Europe doesn't price things based on American budgets. At a tourist office in Bruges, an American couple asked for recommendations. I suggested historical sites and local restaurants. The wife interrupted. "Do any of these serve American food?" I paused. "You're in Belgium. Most places serve Belgian cuisine." She frowned. "What if we don't like it?" I suggested they try it anyway. Belgian food is world-renowned. The husband shook his head. "We'd rather find a McDonald's." I pointed them in the right direction, but couldn't help wondering why they bothered traveling at all. My colleague at a Madrid bookstore told me about an American asking why none of the books were in English. "Don't you have an English section?" She showed him the small foreign language area. "That's all? How am I supposed to find something to read?" She suggested an English bookstore across town. He groaned. "Why isn't everything just in English?" "Don't you want tourists to buy things?" She explained they primarily serve Spanish readers. He left muttering about how unfriendly the store was. A friend at a Copenhagen bank told me about an American expat trying to open an account. He needed a CPR number and proof of residence. Why is this so complicated? In America, I just show my ID and I'm done. The banker patiently explained Danish regulations. The American compared everything to back home. "Can't you make an exception? I'm American." "No," said the banker. He left complaining about Danish bureaucracy. My friend said, "This is common among American expats expecting systems to bend for them." I worked at a train office in Switzerland. An American asked why we didn't accept dollars. "We only take Swiss francs, euros or card. But the dollar is stronger. Why not take it?" I explained currency systems. He interrupted. "This is ridiculous. America is your biggest ally. You should accept dollars." I suggested the station exchange. He refused, calling it a scam. Eventually he used his card but complained about foreign fees. Before leaving, Switzerland would be better if you just used dollars. A hotel manager in Athens told me about an American guest demanding slower speech. "I can't understand your accent," he said. The receptionist tried speaking slower. Still he complained. "Why don't you hire people who speak proper English?" The manager explained his staff were fluent in multiple languages, including English. "Yeah, but not American English. It's hard to understand." The guest left a review criticizing the hotel's English skills. I was at a tourist center in Florence. An American asked why museums required timed tickets. "Can't I just walk in?" he asked. I explained timed tickets prevent overcrowding and protect the art. This is so restrictive. In America, you can just go places. I mentioned that some American museums use timed entry too. He disagreed. Not the good ones. I helped him book a ticket. As he left, he complained that Europe is too organized, it kills spontaneity. A friend in Lyon shared a story. An American diner wanted to customize a traditional French dish, remove half the ingredients, add others. The chef politely said no. The customer insisted. The customer is always right. Just make it how I want. The waiter explained French cuisine follows traditional recipes. The customer argued, in America, restaurants always accommodate changes. He reluctantly chose another dish but spent the meal complaining. He left a review claiming French restaurants refuse American-style service. At a cinema in Amsterdam showing films with Dutch subtitles, an American bought a ticket, then came back angry. Why is this in Dutch? It's a Dutch film in Dutch, I said. Don't you have an English version? We show films in their original language. He seemed upset. How am I supposed to watch this? I pointed out. We also have English films showing. He shook his head. You should warn people. False advertising. He demanded a refund and left complaining. A museum guide in Vienna shared an American tour group story. Can you relate this to American history? One asked. Most exhibits had no connection. The group seemed disappointed. Does Austria have ties to America? The guide explained Austria's history is primarily European. They lost interest. I thought this would be more relevant to us, one said. They expected Austrian museums to center on American perspectives. At a London bookstore, an American asked for travel guides to Europe. These are all about adapting to Europe, he said. Don't you have any for Americans, so we don't have to change our habits? I told him travel doesn't work that way. He left empty-handed. This sums up what I've observed for years. Many Americans visit Europe expecting it to adapt to them. Dollar acceptance, American food, English-only signs, 24-hour stores, free refills, customer service like home, they expect it all. When reality doesn't match, they see it as Europe failing. But Europe doesn't need to change. These systems work perfectly for locals. Shops closing on Sundays isn't backwards, it protects workers' rights. Small grocery stores aren't inefficient, they emphasize fresh food. Trains run on time because schedules are strict. Languages reflect thousands of years of culture. The issue isn't difference, it's that some Americans struggle to see different does not equal worse. They've been taught America is the best at everything. When confronted with something else, cognitive dissonance kicks in. Instead of thinking, this is interesting, they think, this is wrong, fix it. I remember one last interaction in Amsterdam. An American guest asked, why doesn't Europe just become more like America? I smiled. Why doesn't America become more like Europe? He laughed. I wasn't joking. Metric, universal healthcare, paid leave, public transport. America has its own ways, just like Europe. The world doesn't revolve around American expectations. The biggest lesson? Travel is about humility. Guests adapt. They don't demand hosts change everything. If you want this kind of perspective, less noise, more nuance, stick around. Subscribing isn't a favor. It ensures you catch the conversations that matter. Europe will keep being Europe. And honestly, that's exactly why it's worth visiting.